So I've spoken to you about different kinds of spices and things you can use to make your eat clean lunches or dinners. This is one that I have just fallen in love with, and that is using this spice, Shichimi Togarashi. It is the President's Choice product, and it is 7-spice Japanese blend. So I'm going to use this not only on my steak but on my vegetables. It lends themselves beautifully, and I'll show you how we can make about 8 lunches out of this with a small investment. So first of all, we're going to start with some green onions. These are ingredients. Shitake mushrooms are a huge favorite for me. Nice meaty flavor, and they don't shrink up too much, which is very nice. Some zucchini, and of course, a bit of color, the red and orange peppers. They are perfect with this spice. And of course, a steak. Now, this time I managed to get a ribeye steak. I really quite like them, actually. They're very nice. Divided up into 8, a single steak. You're not gonna, it's not like you're eating the whole steak. You're eating a very small part of it, especially after it's grilled. My go-to is actually flank steak. It's very low in fat. It's a very nice cut of meat, especially when you cut it properly. It'll be beautiful and tender. However, they didn't have any. So we're going to start up by chopping these roughly, getting them ready, and throwing them into the bag with a bit of olive oil and the Shichimi Togarashi. So I've finished chopping my bag of veg, which is, as my mother would say, a riot of colors. So what I'm going to add now is a good heaping teaspoon of the Shichimi Togarashi, maybe a teaspoon and a half because there's a fair amount of veg in there. And then I'm going to add some olive oil. That's not even 1/4 cup. But that will be perfect to help meld around and get this rub going. So here we are with our ribeye steak, and as you can see, it's got a big thing of fat in the middle of it. Normally with the flank steak this wouldn't be there, but it is, and I'm going to leave it in. When we finish cooking it, it'll be easy just to snip away, but it's kind of holding this thing together, and so I'm going to go with the flow. As you can see, I've coated my steak. I've just wrapped it in a little saran wrap. I have a word of warning about cooking this particular dish on an empty stomach. I've certainly shown people how to make it, and what's happened is they've eaten the whole steak, and that's not the idea. We all know we can eat a whole steak, so try to have something. I like to dip in occasionally a little nut butter. This is almond butter, and so here I am at the barbecue. I've started my veg in this fantastic whole serrated pan, or I'm not even sure what you'd call it, but anyway, it's got a bunch of holes in it. It allows juices and things to drip through, but you can grill your vegetables without fear of them falling through. The steak is coming. As you can see, it's all coated up very nicely, and it is going to sit on the grill for approximately 3 to 4 minutes each side. All right, so as you can see, my steak is about done. This steak is gonna sit for 7 minutes in foil. It's gonna be covered. It needs that time. Every piece of meat, especially steak or lamb, needs to reabsorb their juices. 7 minutes is my magic number. It works every time. All right, so here we are back from the barbecue, and I am going to make my lunches. And so I intend to make about 8 of them, and they're going to fit into this jar, which kind of looks huge, but in fact, I don't know if you can tell, it's not giant. It's not giant, but it can hold a substantial amount of food. Oh, I guess first I'll show you my vegetables. They look fantastic. They smell delicious. They're going to turn out great. So how do I get 8 servings out of that pile plus my steak? I'm going to add some quinoa. And quinoa is a wonderful, wonderful superfood that just will also take away a bit of the punch of the spice, because after a while it does start to heat up your mouth. Well, it's very flavorful. It is nice to have a little respite. So here we go with the quinoa. I love the 21-day fix. They came with all these wonderful cups, so you have an idea of how much you're going to put in. This is my loaded up with the quinoa. Boom. Didn't look like very much, but look at that. It's like a fair amount, isn't it? And then we're going to add some veg. So here we go. A nice healthy bunch. See how beautifully caramelized that steak is. It is a perfect medium rare. I'm going to slice that up beautifully. However, it's not really enough. You have to have a little bit of more. And so I always add frozen peas. Peas are loaded with phytonutrients. Look how that fills that up. You're going to have a huge lunch loaded with 2 servings of vegetables, 1 of quinoa, and then a little bit of meat. So I don't add a ton. Generally don't need to. I've sort of divided it up as to how many pieces we need. So here we are, the fruits of our labors, and isn't that a fantastic looking lunch? We have grilled vegetables, some peas, a perfectly medium rare ribeye steak, and of course some quinoa. And we managed to stretch it out to 8 lunches. You can't go wrong with this.